Okay, thank you very much. Actually, great that there's still so many people here. And I want to use the last words of the last speaker. AI is for everyone, and I think, or AI will help to benefit everyone, and I think that's what we want to talk about today. So if we could, not sure.
There we go.
You can control.
No AI.
No
Regular
AI.
remote.
So I think the problem is well known, right? We have this amazing resource in AI, and we've heard what it all can do. But of course, we also have a problem that these resources that are needed to generate models that can help certain communities, certain regions, certain people require compute. They require compute, they require talent, they require data. Otherwise, you will not be able to generate models for specific purposes. And as the resources are unequally distributed, this can of course be a big problem towards generating AI tools for everyone. And of course this will also hamper growth of the field and will probably also cause problems in the long run because of unequal distribution.
Thank you. So, you already did it. Thank you. So what is actually ICAIN coming up with like an idea? I think we've heard it this morning with the introductory remarks of the UN Secretary General. He, amongst other things, he also mentioned the need to collect and join forces to achieve this goal that Christian has just described. I think we've heard it many times in various panels, that instead of each individually trying to find a solution, that we should actually work together and each one contribute what we can. So ICAIN stands for International Computation and AI Network. And the idea is really as simple as it looks like with the 3 pillars. The idea is really that the member parties of this ICAIN network are contributing and joining forces in the 3 pillars that are needed to develop AI in general, both in the compute pillar, in the data pillar, and obviously also in the talent or capabilities pillar. So actually having people that know how to deal with it, be it from the ETH or others. And then the idea, besides the 3 pillars, is also that it should be a network of partners from the different silos. It should be from the academia and the industry, but also the diplomatic and civil society and international organization. So the idea of ICAIN is really as a response to, amongst others, this request also in the H-Lab, like the high-level advisory board recommendations. And I'm speaking for the Swiss Foreign Ministry, so it's also something that we are presenting amongst the Global Digital Compact negotiations. So far, we have, how do I put it the next? There we go. We had launched the initiative during the WEF in January 2024, so it's still quite new. You see the founding members on the screen. It was really initially amongst academian groups, the ETH EPFL, but also the ALICE network, which is the network of machine learning institutes from the best ones from Europe continent, not only the EU. So we have, for instance, someone from Max Planck Institute or Cambridge University, or I think I also saw here someone from Finland. It's also the head of AI Center Finland. But we also do have 2 supercomputing centers, the Swiss one, under the leadership of ETH, the Alps, but also the Finnish Lumi supercomputer. And ALICE in Africa is Data Science Africa, so it is the network of the best data scientists in Africa. They're also founding members. And finally, ICRC, you will hear from them later on.
So maybe how does this look? The idea here is really to bring together people with resources in compute, people with knowledge technologies, and people with data and a certain relevant problem. And I think you can see this here very well. This is the idea of this initiative is to do a matchmaking. And I will explain with a short example on the next slide. A certain problem can be covered maybe by AI. The data exists in a country, maybe in the global south. We have compute at ETH with the start of the new Alps supercomputer, which will be inaugurated in September this year. And we use it to generate models to really address a local problem that can then help benefit that particular society. And this will be a structure where we really match needs and members together with donors, both philanthropic but also from industry, and academic donors that can provide knowledge and technology to actually achieve these AI goals.
Yeah, so as I said before, we launched it a few months ago, and we're actually in the incubation phase this year. We will present first results in January next year at the WEF. So we, on the one hand, really working on like putting a bit beef on the bone and making the vision more real with very practical questions like setting up the organization, working on the governance structure, like the ethical coherence from the vision to actually the research project selection. And obviously, I mean, we should also talk money, also about the financial structure. And we're also starting to slowly reaching out to new additional partners. That's obviously also why we're presenting it here to you. And in parallel, and I'm handing back to you, we're already having some pilot use cases to learn.
So you see it on the right side. I think this is an excellent example. The climate is changing rapidly. We have weather stations emerging in Africa. We have satellite data that is available. And we can use this to train very specific models for precision farming that can help local people to adjust their approaches to farming to maximize gain and thereby, of course, increase revenues, increase food security, and all these aspects. And I think this is a model that requires input from many sides, and it requires the compute resource, which might not be available in such countries. And Data Science Africa is actually providing the data scientists and the data, while on the other hand, on the ETH side, we will have the compute power to actually make this happen. Another example is covered by the ICRC.
Yeah, like another very different angle from Geneva is that we didn't put the slide there. You just talk and describe it. Is to really broad the whole spectrum of the SDGs is a use case that we do with the International Committee of the Red Cross. Philippe, would you present it?
Yes, so I think we all agree that doing good is very complicated. And we come from an environment, the International Committee of the Red Cross, where we work in places where sometimes there is no data, sometimes there are change of government on a very regular basis, but also, and this is for us the most important one, we work with populations which are among the most vulnerable of the most vulnerable. The SDGs are putting very clear focus on this type of population, and we are working on a daily basis. So my colleagues right now in Afghanistan, in Myanmar, in Gaza, or in Ukraine, they are working very closely with these populations. So when we look at the different models, the different type of tools that exist, we're using AI that we want to take advantage of, they have limits. And the International Committee of the Red Cross works with many constraints, and this is why we have survived now 160 years. The one that is quite important is the question of confidentiality. We want to work with everyone, so we need to build trust with the communities, with the government, with armed groups. At the right moment, we are working with more than 450 armed groups. So having a tool that we can demonstrate that is not ending in that the product that we do will not end in the wrong hands in the eyes of the people we are working with is critical. The other dimension is the question of neutrality. We all agree that technology is not neutral anymore. It's not a tool that we can deploy and everyone agrees that it works. It has a geopolitical dimension. And for us, again, where we work both on any side in a conflict settings, we have an office in Moscow, we have offices in places where no one think we could have an office. The question of neutrality is clear, is critical, otherwise we won't get the access to population. So this initiative for us allows to look at a product from scratch, testing things, and I think as a humanitarian organization where our means are unfortunately not endless, where we have to find partners who are ready to fail, who are ready to invest in something which is not, I would say, a commercial product, is critical. And therefore, that's one of the reasons why we are joining very happily and very enthusiastically the ICAIN. One of the exploration we have now is to use data that are very confidential, that are in our own servers. So we would like to train a model with the supercomputer ALPS, try to see how it reacts with public data, and then import everything in-house so we can use it. So this is something where I think also the ETH and the Swiss Confederation are interested to see how it works. It's not huge scale, it's not a big number of data, it's often complicated data which are not very well structured. So we have a lot of this constraint that I think the partners will find an interest to further dig and to further explore.
Thank you so much. I hope, there we go. I do the end, right? Yeah, I hope that brought you a bit more concretely the concept, the idea. As I said, like both of the use cases that my colleagues have described are just some pilot use case that will help us also learn how this like matchmaking process, this collaboration works. We are now really starting, as I said before, to also reach out to new partners. So please feel to approach us after the talk or online. There's a website, ICAIN, there's also an email there. And we will host a first strategic partner gathering in Zurich the 2nd and the 3rd of October, but we can happily also do like virtual exchanges, answer questions, and see whether you would be interested. That would be all, and whether you would also be on a next picture there that we could show probably next year at the AI for Good Summit.